Alrighty, now due to the nature of today, given that I'm a little bit short on time, we're starting today's, what's that, fill washer fluid. Great. It's one thing after another. It was a puncture repair the other week, which turned out to not be a puncture repair. It turned out that the whole tyre needed replacing, and now it's fill the washer fluid up. It's always something with cars, isn't it? There's always something going wrong or something that needs addressing. But what I was saying is, due to the nature of today, given that I'm a bit strapped for time, we're going to start today's video off headed to the gym. Well, actually not to the gym. I will be going there, but first I have to make a pit stop because a delivery came yesterday and I wasn't home, so I've got to go pick a parcel up. And the reason for that is the parcel is quite critical to the training session. It's my restock or my resupply of taurine powder. So pick that up, then head straight to the gym, which isn't too big of a deal because it's kind of on the way. It's a little bit of a detour, but nothing major. Like I want to say a 5-minute detour, 10 minutes if you factor in the wait time inside the post office when you're waiting in line to be served. So an additional 10 minutes on top of the usual transit time, and then it will be training time. Legs and biceps, so it'll be an interesting one. I trained upper body yesterday, and I'm 90% certain that I strained or like partially tore my trapezius muscles. And trapezius, it sounds funny when you say trapezius. No one refers to it as trapezius. So my trap muscles, my mid-lower traps, I overstretched on the T-bar row, and I think I did a little bit of unintentional damage. So it'll be a interesting session. I don't know how hack squats will go. I don't know if I'll have to replace it just due to the axial nature of the movement being kind of loaded through the spine, compressed through the spine. Because whenever you tear a muscle or strain a muscle in your back, it doesn't just affect the muscle tissue itself. It'll generally cause a bit of a protective kind of tightening up effect where it locks all the surrounding tissue up as kind of a protective mechanism, and that can kind of put pressure on your discs and kind of pull your spine out of place a little bit. And so I always find if I've ever injured, like torn a bit of soft tissue in my back, because I've had injuries like that in the past. I tore my teres major at World Championships when I used to compete in powerlifting as a junior. That was over in Vegas actually, SPF Worlds 2015. I came first, but I tore my teres major. So yeah, what happened then is kind of what happens whenever you injure a muscle in your back, and that is everything kind of blocks up. It's kind of like your body's mechanism at trying to limit movement to protect. It's protective, basically. It's a protective response. So my back feels a little bit out of place, and because it's a little bit out of place, I have a feeling that when I do hack squats today, they're not going to feel too crash hot. So I might have to supplement hack squats with say a belt squat or something of that nature, but we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Funny enough, I was actually thinking I wouldn't make it to the gym today because I have a pretty tight schedule, like I said, and then on top of that I thought I was meant to have a podcast for this morning. It turns out the podcast is in a couple of days' time, so I've got some leeway. So it means that I do have that window of time available this morning to get my training session in, which is a relief because I have to train legs with a friend of mine this Saturday, and I'm not one to train with other people. I really don't enjoy it. But this friend of mine is the same as me. He doesn't enjoy training with other people. but we haven't caught up for a long time, and to kind of make it work with our busy schedules, we've just decided, you know what, let's just train together. We'll talk a little bit before the session, and we'll train. We won't talk in the session, and then we'll head home. So that's what I'm doing on Friday. So the last thing I wanted to do was have to push this earlier leg session of the week a day ahead, because that would mean I'd only have 24 to 48 hours rest between this leg session and that leg session, which would not be enough. But we are at the post office now, or at least the marketplace square where the post office is located. So I'll wrap this up here, and I'll see you at the gym. Now, I'll be honest, it kind of feels like the equivalent of eating dessert before dinner, starting off with biceps before training legs, but it is what it is. I mean, arms, like I said in this leg session last week, are more of a priority for me than legs themselves. So if I'm training biceps on my leg day, it makes sense to have it petitioned toward the start of the session. Whatever you want to prioritize the growth towards, or muscle preservation towards, you ought to do that first in your session. So 2 sets of this, 2 sets of preacher curls, and then into legs after that. Let's just find a good song for set number 1. So with the biceps, like I've covered in the past, they tend to respond better and they tend to grow better when trained in longer muscle lengths. So the way that I'm basically achieving this on this machine is I'm setting the seat higher, because any kind of machine curl where you can set the seat higher and change the position of your elbow relative to the machine's axis of rotation, you're effectively going to load the bicep more in that lengthened position, because the amount of shoulder extension you're starting the movement in. And so that's effectively what I'm doing here. I'm just basically setting the seat higher, so that way the pivot point of the machine, or the axis of rotation, is lower than the elbow joint is, and that'll allow me to do that. Anyway, set number 1. Now, to save a little bit of time, so I don't have to warm up on a second bicep movement, I'm just going to do 2 more sets on this. So 4 sets in total, rather than 2 on this and 2 on the preacher. And I'll just do these 2 sets with a slightly lighter load in a slightly higher rep range, just to get a little bit of more of a broad spectrum coverage, and also just to give my elbow joints a bit of a break. One or two more sessions of using these, and then my gym pin seatbelt should arrive, which means I'll just be able to buckle up and not have to worry about strapping up. Okay, set the bar high. Got to try match last week, 9 reps. See how these feel with a trap tear and a quad tear. Probably feel like dog shit, but we'll see.